What's going on, guys? We're coming back with you today. We are in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and we're at Cherry Hospital. Originally in 1890, this hospital was for patients with mental illnesses, so it was an asylum. It's been abandoned here fairly recently, within the past 5 to 10 years or so. So we're going to take a walk around and see if we can't find some stuff. Hope you guys enjoy. See you later. Guys, we made it inside this part of the Cherry Hill Asylum. There's security driving around, so I have to keep quiet for the most part. Let's go through here and take a look, see what we can't find. See you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this.
Cherry Hospital was an inpatient regional referral psychiatric hospital located in Goldsboro, North Carolina. As one of 3 psychiatric hospitals operated by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, it provided services to 38 counties. Cherry Hospital provided comprehensive inpatient mental health services to people with psychiatric illness who cannot be safely treated at a lower level of care. For the first 85 years of its history, Cherry Hospital served only the mentally ill African American population for the entire state of North Carolina, and remained the only mental hospital available to those citizens until the mid-1960s. There are 2 cemeteries located on the old campus of Cherry Hospital. One is located behind the Chase Laundry building where patients were interred between 1905 and 1928. The other is located behind the McFarland building where the earliest known interment is 1927. It is estimated that there are over 3,000 people buried on the grounds. Rumors that Cherry Hospital is haunted may stem in part from the 2 cemeteries at the site, where deceased residents of Cherry Hospital were routinely buried without a proper funeral. Hundreds of graves are marked solely with a number that corresponds to the person's ID at the institution, while thousands more unmarked graves were identified in a 2002 archaeological study. The bed capacity for the hospital when established was 76, but over 100 patients were crowded into the facility by Christmas of 1880. On March 5, 1881, the Eastern North Carolina Insane Asylum was incorporated and a board of 9 directors appointed. A separate building was established for treating tubercular patients. In addition, a building for the criminally insane was opened in 1924. The early treatment program was mainly custodial, while able-bodied patients worked on the farm. In 1884, a battery was purchased as electricity was said to be beneficial to the treatment of early insanity. An occupational therapist was employed in 1932, but therapy was mainly confined to the farm, laundry, kitchen and yard work. During the 1930s and 1940s, laxatives, castor oil, salts, aspirin, and sedatives were the standard medications given to patients. Hydrotherapy was attempted, but soon abandoned. Seclusion in the form of 6 benign steel cages was also utilized, but was completely removed from the treatment program in 1956. Chapel facilities and chaplain services were not available until the early 1950s, but selected patients were allowed to visit churches in Goldsboro under the supervision of an attendant. By 1955, tranquilizing medications were widely used and helped revolutionize patient treatment. As a result of extensive use of psychotropic drugs, the rate of discharges began to increase and the length of hospitalization decreased. While discharges increased, the admission rate also increased significantly and the resident population remained virtually stable at approximately 3,000 patients between 1950 and 1965. The highest rate of occupancy was approximately 3,500 patients. During its first 100 years of service, Cherry Hospital served 91,045 patients. Other forms of treatment used at Cherry Hospital, including electroshock therapy and locking troublesome patients in cages, a practice that was not abandoned until 1956. In 2008, the hospital's federal funding was nearly revoked following the death of a resident under suspicious circumstances. According to news reports, the person, who was suffering from a medical condition, died after being left unattended with nothing to eat for several days. A security camera revealed that negligent hospital staff were watching TV and playing cards a few feet away as the patient succumbed to their illness. One of Cherry Hospital's most horrifying cases came to a close in 2001 with the death of 93-year-old Junius Wilson, a deaf man who had been a resident since he was 17. Wilson was accused of attempted rape in 1925, assumed to be insane because he communicated only in grunts and strange hand gestures. He was locked up at the asylum for the colored insane. The cooked-up rape accusation was finally dropped in the 1970s, but it wasn't until 1991 that a social worker realized Wilson was not mentally ill, but merely deaf. He used a unique form of sign language taught to African Americans in the South historically, which had apparently been misinterpreted as the wild gesturing of a crazy person.
Oh, what's going on, guys? Let me turn this light down. This place is so cool. I'm so glad I got to get in this place. A couple of the buildings that you've probably already seen are a little difficult to get inside of. But hey, man, look, this is what I do. So y'all here with me, checking it out. This place is so big, though. They've got an entire building just dedicated to linens, making the linens and the drapery for all the windows and whatever else may need to be fixed in the asylum. So we're gonna keep at it, y'all. This place is pretty cool. It's I know it's starting to get dark outside, but I really don't want to go. I got a lot left to explore, so we may have to do a little bit of this at night. We'll see how it goes. See you guys later.
From the opening of the institution, much of the cultivation was performed on the hospital grounds under the management of the steward. By 1960, Cherry Farm had 2,300 acres in cultivation, including fruit trees, an apple orchard, vegetables, and sugar cane, with livestock consisting of hogs, chickens, turkeys and cows. The farm supplied the hospital's requirement of milk, eggs, and pork. Except cured bacon, 70% of the hospital's beef requirement. Nothing was sold except hides. An 1884 report from the asylum superintendent bragged about the productivity of what was then a 171-acre enterprise: 80 barrels corn, 6,000 pounds of fodder, 50 bushels of peas, and 3,000 pounds of oats. We now have 37 hogs for butchering and estimate their weight at 4,000 pounds. While horticultural therapy would now be considered a progressive form of treatment for mental illness, it's not clear how therapeutic it actually was for a population only recently removed from slavery. Picking cotton was one of the residents' farm duties.
Alright guys, so we're coming with you again. I decided to stay here a little bit longer, get some more footage for you guys. This is actually technically my first time exploring at night. And I'm alone too, so we'll see how this works out. I just made it into the main building here called the Woodard Building, Cherry Hospital. And so we're gonna go through here at least. We're gonna get this place done. I think it's 3 or 4 floors.
Not only was Wilson falsely accused, and essentially left to rot among mentally unstable people for 7 decades, he was castrated by Cherry Hospital staff upon admittance, a not uncommon fate for people of color accused of rape at the time. One report from 1884 stated that the number of deaths for the year is 14, a fraction over 7%. On the whole number treated. This is much smaller than ever before, but is still in excess of the death rate of other institutions. Only 1 patient died from an acute affection, all the others dying from diseases generally considered incurable. 6 of those dying were in the asylum less than 3 months. 1 had received injuries prior to his admission, from which he died in 36 hours. Entered as 2 days. Another was unable to sit up, and died in 2 weeks. Another bent the window guards, and jumped from a 3rd-story window, in an attempt to escape, and died from the shock in 3 hours. He had been here less than 1 month. A 4th was admitted with Bright's disease and lived 6 weeks. Another died in less than 3 months after admission, from old age.
Alright guys, so we made it out without any problems. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night, you guys. It's a long drive ahead of me. It took me about 3 hours to get up here today, so I'm gonna head out, get on home. Hopefully we'll have this video edited up to you for you pretty soon. I'll probably end up splitting it into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. So stay tuned for that. See you later.